Hi, this is Andy Bryce of Perfect Table Plan, and I'm going to show you how you can create place cards, escort cards, table cards, badges, address labels and other stationery for your events in a few clicks using Perfect Table Plan. We'll start with the basics and then move on to some of the more advanced features. Here I'm using the Windows version, but the Mac version is very similar. At this point we'll generally have all our guests imported and assigned to seats. Here we have a place card that's already been designed. It's a folding tent card, so it has the same information on both sides mirrored. And we're going to print one card per guest. It's also possible to print one card per group, for example for escort cards, or one card per table, for example table cards to put on the middle of a table. The text inside the curly braces is merged in from data in the Perfect Table Plan database. For example, guest display name is replaced by the name of each guest in each card. We can look at the preview to see what this is going to look like. So here we're showing a whole page of cards, or we can just show a single card. Any change you make to the database will be instantly updated in the cards. For example, let's change this guest's name. And we can see the guest name's been updated immediately. Generally we will want to print a card for each assigned guest, but other options are possible. For example, we can print cards for all guests, or just selected guests, or guests with particular RSVP statuses. We can also choose which order to print the cards in, either alphabetically by guest name or by the table and seat. Table and seat is probably better for place cards, as it will save your shoe leather. As well as the sample plans that are shipped with Perfect Table Plan, we also have some stationery templates. These templates are available for both metric and imperial. But let's start from scratch so we can see the stationery features in action. First off, let's choose a layout template. So here we have dimensions for stationery from many of the major manufacturers. Let's say we've got some perforated and scored Decadry place cards. So we'll pick Decadry, and we want the first place card in the list. And now we can see it set up all the dimensions for us. So here we have an A4 sheet with 2x3 place cards. These dimensions are shown in millimeters, but you can also use inches if you prefer. If you need to use a layout that's not in our database, you can just change the various dimensions to suit yourself. See the nomenclature tab to understand what each of these dimensions is. So let's go with the Decadry tent cards. So the card dimensions are now set, and let's add some text onto it. First we'll add some substitution text, and Perfect Table Plan can use this to merge in the guest names. So click on the T, and then click roughly where we want to put the text, and then we'll center it. We want the guest display name here. So we're going to pick display name from this big long list, and then we're also going to add the table and seat number. So we'll add a new item of text, and we want this left justified so it fits against the left edge of the card. So here we want guest table, and guest seat. Note that if we had any custom fields, they would also be visible in this drop-down list. Let's make the font a bit smaller. We could also change the font family if we wanted to, but we'll leave it as it is for now. To make things a little easier, we can add some guides. These will help us with the layout. And we can snap to the nearest guide. We may also want to add some images, for example a company logo or some artwork or clip art. So we click on the image and then click roughly where we want to place it. Click on Browse, and we'll choose some decoration clip art that comes installed with Perfect Table Plan, along with wedding, Masonic and other free clip art. So let's see what that looks like in the preview. So currently we've only done one half of the card. We can manually place the text on the other side of the card upside down as it's going to be folded. And center justify it. And rotate it. However, it's easier if we mirror the current text. So we'll delete that text. So we'll select the mirror button. Let's leave the table and seat just on this side. We can also add a color-coded dot, for example to show the guest meal choice. So it's defaulted to meal here, but we could change it to group or gender. If we had a custom field of type selection, we could also use that to set the color. Let's leave it with meal, and we can set the colors. So maybe we'll make fish blue. Let's just align it with the guides. And here we can see the color-coded spots in the preview. If we click on the More button, we get some additional options. If we're printing to cardstock, we probably want to output a fold line. We can also output a border, change the border color, and change the background color. We generally suggest avoiding thin borders, as most printers are not millimeter perfect and it's very difficult to get thin borders to align with perforations on the card. We can also add cut marks. These are very useful if you're guillotining cardstock. If we want to save this design to use again, we can do so here. And then load it again in future by clicking on this button. When you're ready to print your cards, click on the Print button. Alternatively, we can export them to PDF for someone else to print. And here's the PDF. There's various help information. Click the How Do I Help button. Or do the stationery tutorial. Let's load an escort card sample. We can see here that long text has been shrunk to fit onto the card. If we prefer, we can tell Perfect Table Plan to add line breaks. So now it shouldn't have to shrink the font. If you've filled out contact details, it's also possible to print address labels. Note the contact details are per group, so set item per to group. Many common address label layouts are already available in our database. In Perfect Table Plan Advanced and Professional editions, you can add a seating map to show guests where they're seated. So each guest now has a blue arrow to show where they're seated in the floor plan. This is particularly useful for large E-shaped tables. In Perfect Table Plan Professional Edition, you can also add the guest barcode. Click on Insert Text and select Guest Barcode ID. And now we need to change it to a barcode font. We've already installed a free barcode font on our PC, so we'll use that. And then when we look at that in the preview, we'll see the barcode. You can download a free trial for Perfect Table Plan for Windows or Mac from our website. You don't even have to give us your email address.